Welcome to the Expert Edge. This is the show where we bring on experts in the fields of health and wellness practice to hear their stories and learn what they see working in the field of diabetes reversal and prevention. So I am so happy to introduce today's expert, Melanie Jolicoeur. And she joins us today from Canada. So, Melanie, it's so great to have you here with us.
Thank you so much. And you said my name so beautifully. Thank you so much for that.
Well, I love your name because that French last name, Jolicoeur, means happy heart. And so
Mhm.
I'm just so happy to have you with your happy heart on here
Yeah.
today. Melanie is a wellness coach and a holistic practitioner, and she, on her journey, got into the area of alternative medicine. What she does nowadays is working around her knowledge and experiences, where she has really spent time learning about the therapeutic benefits of a holistic lifestyle. She's kind of got a unique one. She's adapted to a nomadic lifestyle where she practices her holistic modalities around the world. She's traveled to more than 40 countries in the past 10 years. In each of these places, she has lived, taught, explored, and studied. And I just wanted her to come on today to share a little bit about her experience, some of the things that have brought her to where she is today. And I'd like to start by asking, tell me, how did you get interested in this area of lifestyle and health? Because most of us weren't born with that.
Yeah. Actually, I think intuitively there's a part of us that is because it's just such a meeting with yourself at the end of the day, you know? And I think that this is what happened for me. Um, and I do believe that this question is such an interesting one because it's about diving into a deeper space of ourself first. This is what brought me to this space is challenging moment, you know. And oftentimes when it's challenging in your life, we tend to push it away, we tend to avoid it, we tend to think, oh, let's think positive, let's, do something to be okay. But actually there's always a beautiful message, and there's always guidance, and it's always like guiding you somewhere somehow. And so sometimes if we can just allow it and not be the victim of it, but just allow it and see and breathe through it and feel everything, because I do believe that to heal we need to feel, and then from there, see what opens up for us. And so for
So tell me
me,
about, what were some of those challenges that you
yeah.
faced that kind of took you there?
Yeah. So for me, I actually numbed myself for a little bit of time in my life. Yeah, well, actually, I didn't really know at this point what drove me there, because I was not really aware that what was the feeling. I was only in a reaction state. So this is why what happened came right after.
Mm,
The real pain where I discovered happened after, to lead me to understand what happened. Because at the beginning it was just like going through life, and then at one point
gotcha.
numbing something that I don't know what it was. Because when you experience a trauma, oftentimes you're trying to express the trauma, and most of the time we're going to say stop, it's okay, don't cry, and you disconnect from yourself and you go live into the stimulation world. And here you don't know what really is going on, you're just stimulated and you're just in reaction more than in
Mm,
action. So for me to come back here, I had to, experience all of this numbness, until at one point, I think one of the biggest part was when my father told me he was actually sick and he had leukemia. And
mm,
then I was thinking, whoa, he's going to try to survive. And I'm going to actually, like, numb myself with substance that is actually arming me to get sick. And so it didn't make sense for me anymore that I was destroying myself while he was trying to
oh,
survive. So that was a really big turning point for me, to start to look at myself and to come back here
mm,
through the pain, to come back into, oh, what do I feel, what's going on, and so yeah, so I got into a big journey of reconnecting with myself at this point. And he was sick for 10 years, and so it was a really long journey, but so beautiful and inspiring. And so I think that the disease and death is the thing that really brought me back to life for myself.
mm,
Sometimes we can feel victim of it, because when people die around you, it's pretty hard to grieve. It's a really shocking process. We're like, oh, someone's there, someone's not there anymore, I love them, and so it's attachment, which is one of the biggest sufferings of humans. So I do believe that it can be it can drag us down, but it's also a reminder for us to realize that we have a life, we have a day. Every time we get up in the morning, there's one more day here, you know. What do I want to do with that? And so I've been introduced to death really early in my life, because my sister died when I was really young. And
Wow.
then
How
after
old were you?
my uncle, I was 3 years old, so I was really young.
Oh,
So
was
I
she
didn't
older,
really realize.
younger?
She was older. Yeah, she had 3 years older than me. And
Mm.
so I was not really aware of what was going on, but I remember one point saying to my mom, like, I want a big sister. It was so strange. It's like my
Oh,
body knew it. And when she
yeah.
explained to me that I actually had one, I was like, oh my God, you know, it was such a thing for me, because I was playing with someone that was not there sometime. I was just like pretending I had a big sister,
Mm.
and she was, you know, not there. So it was a really strange feeling. So, you know, I was introduced to understand the process of that really young. And then my uncle died when I was also around 8 or 9 years old. And he was the best friend of my dad. So we were doing everything together, you know, all the Christmas and holidays and vacation and travel. So it was like another dad for us, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
that was another big part. And then after this, my dad. And then after my dad, there was my stepsister, which was the wife of my brother. She was also my business partner with my dance school. And she also had a cancer. And then after this, it was my stepmom. So it was just like a really
Wow.
fast, you know,
Yeah.
uh, a lot of disease, a lot of death. And then, you know, even though there was a lot of inspiring moment where I discovered the power of the heart. Like my dad, like he made doctor lie so many times, say, you're gonna die. And he was like, no way. And he also was so open to everything that was holistic. And he lived much longer because of that as well.
Mm.
But but it was very inspiring to see him traveling through this disease. A lot of miracle, we could say, or whatever happened in this, and I could witness this. So yeah, so then I got interested into the human potential at this point, because I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy, you know. And I've seen so many stories like this, because he was writing in newspaper articles, and people were writing to us, and we could read a lot of story from other people as well. And you know, so it was very inspiring. So when everybody actually, you know, passed after a period of 2 years, you know, it was really
Mm.
intense. And then seeing all those people dying, then I had a meeting with myself. Then I had a kind of a check checking point where I was like, what is going on in
Mhm.
this world? Like, why are we so sick? And what else is there than traditional medicine? You know, after you watch your dad go through 250 chemos and all those
Wow.
treatment, and you're just like,
Yeah.
would there be anything else? Is there anything else that could really, like, you know, so I was really curious about that. But it was just a thought that was slowly starting to come inside of me, more in my head first. And then at one point I was in the desert of Morocco, and I was walking in silence for a few days. And this is where it became really clear to me, you know, silence is a really beautiful teacher if you can allow it. And, you know, it just came up in me, like in my heart, from my head to my heart, and being like, I want to devote my life to figure out what else is there, and to study the human experience. And I was like, I didn't feel like I wanted to have a house or a business or a kid or get married. I felt like my mission was to really like understand everything about this human experience, and the extension of us as well, nature, you
Mm.
know, which is my best teacher. And this is where I started the quest of it. And then one thing lead you to another and to another and to another. It's a never ending story. I still study every day, and it's been, you know, 11 years now, and I still like learn every day as well. So
Mm.
yeah, it's a never ending story, but it's really, really inspiring to me.
And that's so interesting how, you know, in your journey, as you watched people have to deal with some of the biggest issues in life, right? Life and death. And that just like got you thinking about, well, what am I here for? What's my purpose? And then seeing your purpose as helping other people to decrease suffering, to improve their health. And as you became more aware of the way our bodies work together, our mind, our our thinking, our thoughts, our physical body, our previous experiences. How have you seen connections between, for example, emotions and emotional experiences that people have and the development of disease, like things like
Mm.
diabetes? What have you noticed with that in your own experience?
What a beautiful question. Because I know it's when you dive into this space, you get to understand so much. And when you come back to, you know, I don't like to say normal world, but we come back to society, way to live. And you're trying to bring that to others, to say some stuff to, you can help them. You know that what you've learned can really truly help them. And a lot of time people are just not ready yet to see it. And they just feel like they're a victim of what's going on. And it's just like a random thing that happened to them and the body's against them. And I think we are all 100% responsible for what's happening for us. And I'm not gonna say to us, even if it looks like, why is it happening to me? It's so hard. Yes. But I do believe that there's a point where the body is talking to us, just like a little kid say, hey, I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something. And we don't have time because in society, we're just so busy trying to make it happen into money. What is success anyway? It's becoming crazy sometimes how we're so lost into what success is. And so we're so productive and we forget about our stuff and we just push this little voice telling us like, I need to tell you something. There's something, and you don't take the time to acknowledge what's going on into your body, what's going on into your emotion. And you just keep on going and work and, you just push it away. And at one point the body's like, and now I need to talk to you because it can be arming for you. So you need to listen. And then it's like, oh my God, what happened? Why am I having this? I'm such, it's so sad. And it's just, but it's been a while that your body's trying to tell you something. And most of us, we want the quick fix.
Mm-hmm.
We want right here, right now, the quick fix. But if you think about any disease, it starts by something small that grows into your body. And then at one point it becomes something that we need to give really attention because it's urgent. But we could have given attention much before that if we would be in a state where we're not living in so much to do and
Mm.
instead being and feeling and listening, you know?
That's so important, Melanie. And I believe that it's true that many of us are very focused on like what it is we want to do in life. And there's a lot of focus on the doing. And when we focus there without paying attention to like what are we thinking and what are we feeling, because those two are so closely connected, because like right,
Yes.
the kinds of things we tell ourselves create the emotions and the feelings that we're experiencing. And also like paying attention to what the body is feeling, because
Mm-hmm.
from personal experience I can say that um, there's a certain group of us, maybe you might say, in this world that maybe didn't have emotions acknowledged well as we were growing up. There was maybe a lot more emphasis on what we're doing, what our performance is like, so on, and not actually paying that much attention to things we might be feeling either emotionally or physically,
Yes.
which are
Yes.
also, often really connected, right?
Yeah, the
So
emotional
we have to
intelligence.
learn, yeah, to pay
Yeah,
attention.
we don't have it in our education. This is the sad part of it. Like we will
Yeah.
get out of university, know how to do so much, but we won't know really how to deal with our emotions. And the first time that I really start to realize this is when I got treated for my lower back, and I was like, there was pain in my lower back, and I went to see this woman. She was an osteopathist, and she was working on my belly the whole time. And I was like, I don't have pain in my belly. I have pain in my lower back. And she's like, just let me have it. Just give me a minute. And then at one point, she was just like doing some stuff, and I felt my belly starting to blah, 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 make some noise and like free some space. And it was so interesting. And then she was like, Mel, you're so like, you're living so much stress now. Like you're breathing so much shallow, and all your diaphragm is like, not having its full movement. Your ribs is coming in. And now like everything is stuck here. So organs are coming up to try to help. They don't do this equally. And then your hip is unsquare, and then you have pain in your lower back. Let's reverse engineer that,
Yes.
and instead of going to the lower back, let's come here, create some space in diaphragm in the rib cage, and let the
Mhm.
diaphragm do his full work through the breath work as well. And then after this, let's talk together, because what's creating the stress? What's the emotion? What are you living? What's going on here? That's the root cause. And if you go down to every I mean, if you're even if you're taking if even if you're crashing your car on the street, there's still an emotion there, in the sense that were you focused, were you present, who or was the other one present, was the other one
Mhm.
here and now. So even at this point, there's an emotion involved. Like in every disease and every accident, there's always a place where we're either not present to yourself or to our environment.
Yeah.
And this is where things like this are created. So down, reverse engineer anything, you're going to get to an emotion for sure.
Yeah, and that's so important for people to understand, because I really believe that when we're looking at health, we must dig much deeper than the symptoms, which is what your therapist was helping you with. Your symptom was back pain, but the problem was more about what was going on in the front of your body that was creating the back pain.
And even then, she could have taken some time to heal my back. It would have come back
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it was
And
on the
that's the
root cause.
issue. Yes,
Yeah,
if it's not root cause, it comes back.
it's
And
a
I
quick
see
fix.
this.
So people
Yes,
like it because it's a quick fix.
I know, right? I even see that like in this diabetes space that happens a lot. And I know what I'm going to say next is kind of controversial. Some people might agree with me, might not. That's okay. But what I see is that many people realize, for example, that being overweight creates a lot of inflammation that can push diabetes. And so they will take any approach to losing weight to try to treat the diabetes, but not all approaches are equal. There's an approach which I see a lot that is a really low carb approach nutritionally. But what we also know is that long term, it doesn't provide the nourishment that your body needs. It doesn't have all the
Yeah.
nutrients. It doesn't have the balance of things that your body really needs for long term healing. And so they might lose weight and their numbers might change, but they
Mhm.
haven't really changed their risk for dying of a heart attack. And it's like,
Mhm.
you know, that's what I mean by making sure that we're actually going
Yeah,
to the root cause of things
yeah.
and identifying that and dealing with it. And like you said, the root cause isn't even always physical. In fact, much of the time, it's emotional and mental.
I love what you're saying about this, because like think about what you're just saying. Like if you're overweight, just think about this sentence: overweight. It's heavy on you.
Mm,
Overweight, it's you're carrying something heavy.
mm,
So just think about that. Now, if you go into any like any mission that you're going to do to lose weight,
mhm,
I always say, like, you need to understand why you're doing this. If you're only doing it to lose the weight, you're
mhm,
going to be miserable, and you're going to be, sorry, but pissed off of not eating the things that you want to eat, of not doing things that makes you, and you're not going to have fun doing this. And
mhm,
if you don't have fun, you can do the most beautiful, diet that you want to do. You're still going to create inflammation and acidity, and you're going to shallow breath, and you're not going to be you're going to be in tension
mhm,
because you're not having fun right now.
mhm,
But if you educate yourself to understand why you're doing this, and why you want to get better, and why you want to release this weight from yourself,
mhm,
it's a very different space to start with. And then what allowed you to carry more weight and more weight and more weight and more weight and more weight? There might be something inside of you emotionally. And if we go even deeper than this into what I do, is, let me take diabetes, for example. So diabetes is linked to the pancreas, right?
mhm. Yep, the pancreas may not be working properly or
Yeah,
maybe
the
overworked.
pancreas,
Yeah.
yeah, the pancreas is linked in Ayurveda, which is, you know, the medicine, the mama of all medicine, is linked to the third vortex of our body, which is like the digestive system, the pancreatis, and the pancreas. And then this list of emotion is all linked to fear, ego, the mask that we're putting to please others, not being enough, you
Mm.
know. It's like, if I go into, this is the book that I wrote about this, if I go into this book, you know, and I go into the yellow part, which is this vortex, I'm going to have perfectionism,
Mhm.
resentment, freedom. You feel free, you know, impulsivity, aggressiveness, humiliation, shame, submission, tenderness. Can you allow tenderness in your life? Ego, are you wearing a mask to please other constantly? Unconditional giving, need of approval, control, fear, power. So there's a list of emotion for each systems, for each gland of our body.
Mm.
And if you reverse engineer anything you're feeling and you go into the list of emotion, you will see how accurate it is as well into what you're living physically. You
Oh,
know, it's
that's
very
so
interesting.
interesting because I do think that we do not really, in general, have a good understanding of that link between our thought patterns, our emotions, and the physical impact that it has on our bodies. And yet, you know, just from a strictly like scientific research aspect, we know that especially in women, and I work a lot with women, um, carrying excess weight can is often related to intimacy issues, like people that have experienced sexual abuse as children or molestation, or have reasons why they're trying to push people away from them because it hasn't been safe for them, or they've experienced trauma in that area, and how often, not always obviously, but often weight issues have some deep emotional roots, and they're tied to negative experiences often that people have had. And even if they lose, say they're very obese and they lose even like 100 pounds, 150 pounds, and they get down close to their ideal, how many times do they, as soon as they've reached their goal, they just start creeping back up again? And that phenomenon is because the root hasn't been addressed, what's behind their choices around eating and lifestyle,
Mhm.
you
We
know.
get attached to even what not serves us,
Yes,
because what we know, it makes us feel secure. This is what we know, you know.
comfortable is like, it's like the
Yeah,
known
yeah,
pain, right? Better than the unknown freedom, or whatever that, you know, I think God really wants us to experience, and he wants to heal us from the inside out. And
yeah. And it's a protection mode. It's like a protection shield. Like, if I'm like this, nobody's going to come close to me. I won't have to experience this. I won't have to revisit this. I won't have to,
right,
you know. So we're protecting ourselves with this shield that's actually not true to
yes,
us. You know,
that's
it's not.
right.
Yeah, it's just a lie that that came alive because of a pain that we couldn't express, that we were not seen, respected, you know, valued, or we felt betrayal, we felt shame, we felt all of these things, and then we just want to protect this, so we kind of create a shield to do it, and sometimes it's most of the time unconscious,
Hmm.
you know. So I work in Thailand. I work in a lot of wellness center, and a lot of people come to have like a fitness journey or a fasting journey, or they do all these things to lose weight, you know. And every time someone used to come in and work with me over there, some of the trainers, sometimes they were, you know, going on the scale and, you know, analyzing everything, da, 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 da. And I was, when they were working with me, I was like, I'm not going to do the scale. You come with me. We're gonna go buy you a dress.
Hmm.
We're gonna buy you a dress that you really want to wear, you know? And we're gonna also like work into the emotional part of it, not just work. Yes, we're gonna create muscles. Yes, we're gonna detoxify, but I want to go deep inside of you of what is it that, you know, stops you from seeing your whole beauty, acknowledging all the beauty that you are inside out, and honoring this,
Hmm.
and
Because
honoring your health, and
yeah,
really loving yourself at a deep point that you want to give that to yourself and you want to shine your light through that. You don't want to hide it. You don't want to protect it. You just want to be this
Hmm.
beautiful,
As a Christian, coming from a Christian background, I see that piece, and it's like so many times it's like people aren't understanding the value that they have in the eyes of God. And so they're looking for value in all these other places, from affirmation, from other people, from their own success or performance, when it's like there is nothing we can do to make ourselves more valuable. It's like we are truly loved unconditionally and deeply by God, who has put infinite value on every single human being. And I think if we really understood that and take that into our heart, then it's like that value piece is there. And
Mm,
that value piece creates such a great foundation for building, for taking care of me, because God saw me as valuable. and
mm-hmm,
and it's like our value is intrinsic. It's like we don't create it. It doesn't come from us. It actually comes from the price paid for us. You think about a diamond, and diamonds cost a lot. They're expensive. They're a precious stone, but it's completely based on what somebody will pay for it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
so, as a Christian, it's like God paid the ultimate price for me. That makes me valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and everybody has their own way to interact with that, like this
Mm-hmm.
whole universe. Like for me, you know, my way to see God is nature.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's in everything, of course, and it's in us, but for me, it's like if I'm proton, neutron, electron, molecule floating, like, scientifically, this is what I am, and then everything else is the same. It's proton, neutron, electron, molecule, creating a tree, creating a person, creating whatever. So whatever was created by the higher intelligence is is all the same thing. And at one point, we're not separating from anything.
Hmm.
You
That's so
know,
interesting.
so if I am proton, neutron, electron, there's no way I am solid and then nothing. Like I'm solid and then slowly, if I could put some glass, I would see like some molecule, like some thing floating, energy floating around me, and then after becoming the tree, becoming the nature, becoming another person, becoming whatever. So if you're not feeling well, I care, because you're a part of me, you're an extension of me, and the tree is as well, and everything is. So everything that you would see in other that you like is also in you. Everything that you see in the ocean that you think is powerful is also your power. Everything, the tree is also, there's no separation. Everything is one beautiful thing that has been created, and we all have the strength to share with each other this beautiful intelligence, and so I mean, if everything was created like that in such an intelligent way, you know to be grateful for it and to recognize it and to honor it
I,
and
you
to
know, and I agree with this part, that you said about being grateful for it and understanding that we were created to be together. When I look at the Bible, and I know that you're coming from a different point of view, and that's fine. But as you look at the Bible, God created nature and He created man, but He created
yeah,
man not as not equal with nature, but actually to be like in charge of and a caretaker and a steward of nature. And so
yeah,
we have a
interesting.
responsibility for caring for the world. But
Mm,
it's a
interesting.
little bit different basis than what you were explaining. It's just I'm just sharing where I'm coming
No,
from.
but I love it. I think it's everybody has their own way to connect with different thoughts. If people call it God, some people call it love, some people call it universe, some people call it whatever it's resonate with them. And I do believe that in any religion, it's all about love. Everything merge at the place of love. You
That's
know,
definitely a piece that as human beings we cannot survive without. And so that
exactly,
is a universal need. And I love what you were
exactly.
saying earlier about like behavior change, and it being not about just like I need to lose this many pounds, but it's about who am I? Why am I doing this? And that motivation for change
Mhm.
coming from understanding our true identity. And that
Mhm.
true identity then providing a foundation
To
for
honor.
long-term sustainable change, right? And just, that whole attitude of gratefulness and understanding that we are valuable, and it doesn't matter what anybody else like says to us or how they treat us. It doesn't change our value. And
Exactly.
yeah, that is so basic. And it's been really great talking. I'm just like looking at the clock. It's like, oh, we're almost to our time here. But I just really want to say I appreciate you coming
Mhm.
and sharing your experience and some really important things for us to think about in terms of these different parts of our being and how we can't ignore any one part without
Yeah.
having results, consequences that are going to be negative in our physical, emotional, and mental aspect.
Yes. And I
So,
would love to add something into what you just said right now, because I think it's also important to, when we think about loving ourselves and loving what we're, our gifts, I do think that the part that we forget is also loving anything that comes into your life, however it shows up. And if you're living through some pain, some disease, some uncomfortable sensation, you also get to love that. And that is the part that will help you to heal, you
mm,
know? So personally, this is the first experience I had with self-healing. That one day I had a tumor into my body, and a part of the process for me was starting to have a relationship with the tumor and to love it and to give it my attention, to give it my love, and to really acknowledge it, acknowledge what's trying to talk to me right now, what's trying to give me a message. And so even if it's something you don't want in your body, even if it's overweight, even if it's whatever, everything is hearing you. If you don't like a part of your body, if you don't like, it's each cells are reacting to this. You want to embrace that. It's all there for you to expand into your love, to expand into understanding your value, and to into your frequency, if I could say, you know. So I mean, it's we every and it, this is so, like, some people think like this is just a woo-woo thing, whatever. Each organ has a frequency. You can calculate this scientifically. Everything is a frequency, and you can calculate it in hertz. And certain organs, when they come into certain frequency, this is where you start to be sick. So
mm.
it's all frequency that is calculated into science. It's
That's
not,
like a whole nother area
it's
to
a whole nother
explore.
world. But I
But
mean,
I
what I'm
do.
trying to say
Go
is that
ahead.
there's emotion that will
Yes.
help you
Yes.
to stop the fight and flight response, get into your rest and digest. Because when you're
Mhm.
into fight and flight, too much cortisol, too
Mhm.
much, you shallow breathing, your blood flows different, everything goes differently, you're more
Mhm.
acidic, you're creating it. But when you're into this feeling of love, of calm, of peace, of attention, then you drop from this fight and flight response, and you're really serving yourself. So whatever it is that you're
Yeah.
feeling, love is such a big one.
And I love what you were saying about, how these things are connected. And for me, this whole like stress management piece is really rooted in knowing a God that loves me and that I can trust with whatever happens in my life. And so it's like I don't have to stop trusting just because I got a diagnosis of diabetes or
Mm,
cancer or a tumor. It's like I can continue to trust because as a Christian, he's promised that whatever happens to me, he can turn it out for good. And so that takes away the fear, it takes away the stress, even if it's something that's uncomfortable, I didn't like, I didn't expect, didn't want in my life, perhaps. But knowing that I can trust God with how he's going to walk through this with me
wow.
completely changes the way I face it and
The
completely changes the
trust.
way my body can react,
Yes.
right? And so I really believe that trust, knowing that this God that loves me so much, values me so much, will not
Mm,
leave me. He's not going to leave me alone. It doesn't matter if everybody on earth forsook me. He's still with me and he's going to walk
mm.
through this disease process, this whatever it is that I'm facing.
Yes.
Might be grief, might
I,
be
I, rem-
loss.
I
And
remember But you're
and I
zero.
can trust that. And it's like you say, that that's something that will like lower the cortisol, lower the stress, and allow my body to be in as healing a mode as possible, and have
Mhm.
hope. It's like it doesn't actually even matter if I die, because it's a temporary state. It's like
Yeah,
God
yeah, yeah,
promised
yeah.
a resurrection, and it's like that part isn't the biggest piece. The biggest piece
Yeah,
is how I walk through the journey, and knowing
yeah.
I do it with somebody that loves me deeply, knows everything about me, and will never leave me is
Beautiful.
powerful.
Okay. I think it's very beautiful the way you said this, and I remember when I was because I studied the Bible for a little bit and I was really curious about it. And I remember at one point what really touched me is when I've understood that, when you were praying, if you were praying out of fear and let's say like, I want this, please, 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 God, give me this, I need this, I need this, I need this. Then you're like into a fear mode and you're not trusting,
Yeah.
but if you're saying, thank you for giving me this, I'm receiving it, I know it's coming my way, and I know everything's going to be in perfect order,
Mm-hmm.
then this trust is recognized, and I think the word trust that you're using is such a huge one. If you're, a Christian or not, whatever it is, trust life, trust God, trust whatever you want to trust. But trust is such an important word because there's always, as you say, there's always something guiding you somewhere. And if one question I ask oftentimes to the people when I go do some talk is I ask them, have you ever drove on the highway? And people will say yes. What was the speed you were going? 100, 120, whatever
Kilometers per hour, that would be.
kilometers per hour. And then I was like, did you always knew where you were going? No. And if you didn't knew, what were you following? My GPS. Okay. So you're going 100 kilometers an hour on a highway, not knowing where you're going, and you're trusting this little screen GPS. Beautiful. Can you do this in your life?
Yeah.
Can you believe that there's something that's guiding you? You might not know where you're going, you might not know what's next, but
Mm.
you're driving 100K there.
Yeah.
Can you drive maybe like 20 or 30K into your own life, into trust,
Mm.
and knowing that whatever comes, if it's comfortable or not comfortable, this is there for you to grow, to expand, and to redirect you into different places. Whatever it is, if there's a relationship ending, if it's a job that's not accepting you, if it's whatever, if it's a partner in your life that says, I don't want to be with you, and you're like taking it so personally, or you can say, you know what, life just passing through this person to tell me that this is not the place I need to be right now,
Mm.
or God is passing through this person to tell me this is not the place I need to be right now, there's something else for me. I'm not a victim of this, I'm not going to take it personally, I'm just going to listen
Mm.
wherever it's guiding me, because then I'm going to resist, I'm going to also create some emotions that's not going to serve me. But if I can just be with that, say I'm grateful for the time I spend with this person, I'm grateful for the experience, what kind of
Always
mirror it is.
something to learn, right? Yes.
Yeah, and then slowly release and live all the emotion. Oh my God, live it, take the time to cry, take the time to laugh, take the time to miss, take the time to all of this. And
Mm.
then after, slowly take the time to open up to what's ready for you, to what's there for you, to what's next for you,
What's
you
next?
know?
And I love
Yeah,
it because I believe that God's got a plan. And so you don't know what is ahead of
everything is
time.
perfect.
And yes, and like you said, it's about trust. And I just want to say thank you so much for being with us today, Melanie. And I want all of our listeners to remember that health is wealth, and it comes by choice, not by chance. So thank you for spending this time with us as we had this great conversation. I just appreciate your openness and willingness to share, Melanie. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All righty. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And thank you for being here with us.